Good evening, everyone. Welcome to episode 12 of the Fanboys Anonymous group meeting podcast, coming to you from fanboysanonymous.com. I am your host, the owner of Fanboys Anonymous, Tony Mango, and with me on the panel tonight, we have fangirl Caroline Oliveira.
Almost. Oliveira.
Oliveira.
Hi, guys.
At least I'm not calling you Betty or something.
No, that's fine. Don't worry about it. It's a weird name.
And we have fanboy Sam Lassio.
How's everybody doing?
I missed an opportunity for me to say I pronounced your name wrong.
I was just gonna say, that's not fair.
You're like, damn, I've known you for like 10 years, and it's actually David.
Yeah, you've just been pronouncing it wrong.
Right. We might have some other fanboys and fangirls joining us later on in the podcast. We're going to see what ends up happening with that. So if that ends up happening, we will introduce them as they come along. But if not, then this is going to be your trio for the evening. And we're going to be discussing, in honor of the Halloween season, different things that are going on in the horror industry and just horror in entertainment in general. This meeting's officially been called to order. We've got a lot of different stuff to talk about, a lot of things that go bump in the night. And generally speaking, let's just throw this out there. Do you like horror? Because there's a lot of people that are, 50-50 about it. You either tend to love it or it's not your thing. I'm personally not the biggest fan of horror. And it's not for, necessarily the subject matter. It's more so the execution of it. My big problem with a lot of horror movies and a lot of horror TV shows and whatever is they tend to be kind of rush jobs, and they do the same with comedies and they do the same with a lot of action movies, but it's very rare for me to find a horror thing that seems to have, I don't know, the proper motivation behind it other than just making money. So I've not been the biggest fan of horror for the longest time, but what do you guys think? Caroline?
I am obsessed with horror movies. Like, I totally get what you're saying. I kind of agree. Like, lately, I can maybe count in one hand and not even the full hand the horror movies that I enjoy and horror TV shows, but I love horror movies. I was always the weird kid in school. I remember growing up on them. I remember watching my first horror movie when I was 5, and I just couldn't get enough of it. I still remember the freaking scene that I saw, and it was they were about to kill, I don't even remember the film, which is really sad. It was this really old European vampire movie, and they were about to kill this, I guess she was like the pastor's daughter, and she had just been bitten by a vampire, and they had to kill her. And just seeing them cut her body, I don't know, I was weird, but I loved it. And since then, I think that it's fairly to say I watch a horror movie every day. And if not, I have to read a horror story, or else I really, and I'm not even joking, I can't fall asleep. Like, I have weird insomnia if I don't watch a horror movie. I love them a lot.
That's the total opposite. You can't fall asleep unless you have something that scares you.
Yeah, really.
And that's the thing, I don't get scared though. I just feel like since I've been watching them for so long, I'm numb to them.
What about you, Sam?
I
Are
don't
you a
know.
fan of it?
I love horror movies, but I love horror movies when there's a point to it. Like, I'm not a fan of these horror movies that, like, the whole point of it is just jump scares and blood and guts. I'm not into that. I'm really into storylines, and if there's a reason why the things are happening. Like, one of the recent movies I really loved was The Conjuring, and an old classic series I've always enjoyed, even though it on the surface kind of sounds like the thing that I just described I don't like, is the Friday the 13th series, because I think there's a huge psychological factor to who Jason is and why he does what he does.
Because he's a
Yes.
dick.
Yay.
But my favorite
He
has
is
to be,
not. He's misunderstood, okay? He's been bullied. He's suffered throughout his life. He just wants to make things right. He's just a very tortured soul. He's not a dick.
my favorite's Freddy Kreuger, though. He's always been my favorite.
Oh my God, I love Freddy. He's the bomb. Don't get me started. I love him.
Well, one thing that for anybody who follows our other podcasts that you should be paying attention to is coming up later on this month. We're going to be doing a For Real Movie Club, and unless the topic changes, what the current subject matter is going to be breaking down the four major classic ones: Child's Play, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, and Halloween. So for fans of those, definitely pay attention to them. But why don't we give a little breakdown of those while we're at it right now, instead of going, the actual movies and talking about the actors and all that other kind of stuff. Let's just talk about them in general. Um, Out of those,
Okay.
I would say the one that I would like the most is probably Halloween. And admittedly, that's partially because I haven't watched more than one of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. I think I've seen two Friday the 13th. I know I've seen two of the Child's Play movies because the first one I had seen was number 3, and I had no idea what the hell was going on. I still
It's an
really don't.
interesting one to jump into there.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
went over a friend's house, and he wasn't like a huge horror movie fan, but come to think of it, that he was the first person that I ever played the game Doom with too. So maybe he's a fan of that more than I thought. But he had that on, and I remember I was like hungry at the time, and like you're a little kid, you go over, everybody always is like, well, we got to eat lunch, and people make like fish sticks and stupid shit like that because kids like that kind of crap. But we're watching that, and I'm just kind of like, yeah, I don't think I'm that hungry anymore. Like, there's like all this blood on the screen and stuff. We better not be having like SpaghettiOs or something. But out of those movies, the only reason that I would say necessarily that I like the Halloween ones better is I kind of like the characters a little bit more, and I never thought about watching the other 3 series when they came out to theaters when I could watch them. But I did see, I think, 2 Halloween movies in the theater. One of them was that what was the one with Jamie Lee Curtis dies in it? Uh,
H2O?
no, it wasn't that one. It was the one after that.
Resurrection.
Resurrection, yeah. Um, and I was kind of surprised that that happened at the beginning of it and whatever, and that was sort of interesting to see that they kept the continuity and stuff. But the Halloween movies are probably the one that I like the best, and that's stretching it too, because I'm not really a big fan of them. But if you had to pick between the 4 of them, who would you pick the best out of that, Sam?
The 4 of who? Like Jason, Freddy, Mike Myers, and Chucky?
Yep.
I mean, like I said, Freddy has always been my favorite, and I love Jason. Mike Myers is an interesting one, and I mean, I love Chucky too. I would say there was a lot of potential with the Halloween remake they did, but I feel like they kind of flubbed it up a little bit.
You wish that they would have cast Michael Myers instead?
Exactly. To just turn it into like a horror comedy.
It's just an Austin Powers
God.
crossover. I'm pretty sure at this stage in his life that probably would be horrifying.
Oh god, that is probably going to be the most successful thing he's done in the last 5-10 years.
So which one would you say that you'd rank the top?
Top would be Freddy, then Jason, and then I'd probably have to go Chucky and then Mike Myers, but that's not to say I dislike Mike Myers. It's just I would put Chucky ahead because Chucky freaked me out when I was a kid.
What about you, Caroline? How would you rank them?
I think I agree with that. I think that among all of them, Freddy's definitely my favorite. Just the whole idea that you're not even safe when you're asleep. I don't think you can get any better than that. I mean, yeah, when you were a kid and you have nightmares, you can always wake up and be like, oh, I'm okay. I'm in bed. It's all right. Nothing happened. But the concept of not being able to wake up and that your dreams can kill you, I think that's awesome. And as a kid, I thought that those blades that he had in his hand were like the coolest thing in the world. I loved him. I loved him to death. Then I think maybe Jason, because I feel that, I don't know, I just always had a soft spot for him. I just feel like he was so bullied. and being a child that was bullied to death growing up, I just always felt that, like he just wants a hug. I don't know. Like, I like him a lot. Not to say that he wasn't scary, guys. I'm not, like, just being a girl about it. I I
Well, I
just
mean,
like him. I can't really explain why.
Freddy killed because he enjoyed it. Jason killed
Right.
he almost killed more like he was a judge. Like he was now like executing people rather than just
I
blind murder.
Yeah, I also feel like with him though that he drowned that day because, and I hope I'm not spoiling for anyone who has not seen Friday the 13th. If I am, shame on you because you should have seen at least one movie.
They came out before any of
But
us were born.
Yeah, if they haven't
well,
seen it by now,
but
then spoiler alert: Bruce Willis is
yeah.
dead the whole time.
um what was I saying? Oh yeah. Yeah, so he drowned when the two camp counselors that should be watching him were hooking up. So I guess with him it's more like it might be the case that he might even be like other ghosts in other horror movies. It's almost like he's reliving that day. So he's trying to make it right. He's killing everybody who's looking up because he doesn't want to die again, that horrible death. But yeah, I agree. I don't think he could be like a more of a judge kind of character. Freddy, no. Freddy is a psychopath. He enjoys what he does. And then I like Chucky a lot because growing up, I remember my cousin had, to us at that age, a life-size Barbie. And that was like the weirdest thing in the world. And I remember my grandma would tell us stories about how ghosts would possess that Barbie at night. And that, I know, my grandma, like, God bless her, she's awesome. And that a friend of her friend had to throw away the Barbie because her daughter was waking up with scratches everywhere, and they would find blood under the Barbie's fingernails. So to me, like, that was like Chucky.
God damn.
I know, right? Yeah. See, I'm not that weird. My family's worse. Um, And then Mike Myers, just because I feel like I ended up watching the Halloween movies when I was a little older. So those other characters I feel like I grew up with them. So yeah, I prefer them.